Your mic's not on.
This is an honor for me. Hello. There we go. Thank you. Yeah. There we go. Is that better? Now, a little more. A little more. Hello. Hello. A little more. A little more. Hello, Jeffrey. All right. Keep going. Hello. What do you think there? That one's going to be loud.
How was mine? Good.
Yeah.
There we're off to a rip-roaring start. All right, plenty of feedback too. So, do we have another mic on? No, this one's off. Okay. We still getting feedback?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Huh?
We're okay.
Okay. I'm hearing a ringing. So.
Got a ring.
Okay. Well, welcome Terry Moore to Monster Bash.
Yeah!
How many were in here for the screening of Mighty Joe Young? Yeah, we went down to her table. I said, Mighty Joe Young is just about concluded, so we'll be heading down that way. In 2011, I had the honor of interviewing you on stage in Butler, Pennsylvania. It was the October 2011 two-day Monster Bash, and so hard to believe 6 years ago, and here we are again. And so it's an honor to be on your stage with you. And thanks for being
Thank you. This is going to be all right.
over here.
I made over 70 movies, but I think I had more fun on Mighty Joe Young than any movie. And I loved Mighty Joe Young so much, and Ben Johnson both.
Through the years, you know, of course, we saw Ben Johnson in a lot of movies. Did you keep in touch with him? Was there any, you know?
Well, I've written 3 books, but the last one, I had a story, and I was just rereading it about Ben. And I came home, and I listened to my answer phone, and there was a message from Ben, and he said, I'm here with Shirley MacLaine, we're shooting a movie, and we were just talking about how much we love you. And I burst out in tears because I had been on I think an autograph show, and I just returned, and he just died 2 weeks before. So I got this message then. And then there's a country singer, maybe you know of him, Johnny Western, and he was always running into him, and he would say, I'm going to see Ben Johnson. Do you have any, I saw Ben, do you want me to give him any message, and I'll get a message from him for you? And I said, yes. So he said, well, I saw Ben, and I said, what did he say? And he said, tell her that Mighty Joe Young lives. And I said, oh, thank you. So then I had been at a reunion with Roy Rogers, and I ran into Johnny Western, and he said, I have a message for you from Ben. And I said, what is it? And he said, tell her Ben Johnson lives.
It was a wonderful touch in the Mighty Joe Young remake that you and Ray Harryhausen appeared. Of course, Bill Paxton and Charlize Theron were the stars. And I'm assuming that you got to watch that one in its conclusion. And what did you think about that? Obviously, nothing's going to top the original.
Well, I agree to that, but I love Charlene. We became good friends. And Ray and I really had quite a nice part, but he was well into his 90s then and couldn't remember his lines. So it ended up being very small.
It was great because when I first saw it in the theater, as soon as I said, there's Terry Moore and Ray Harryhausen. What a wonderful touch.
Oh, thank you.
So your next film after, of course, obviously you've done films before Mighty Joe Young, but the next one was The Great Rupert.
Yes.
Wasn't it? And there's another form of the wonderful animation that was different from the Ray Harryhausen, Willis O'Brien type of stop motion, and that was George Powell.
Yes.
And that little Rupert, and Jimmy Durante, and so, but.
Well, I just kept doing animal pictures. I started as a grown-up. My first grown-up role was Return of October with Glenn Ford, and October was a horse, and that was also probably one of my favorite stories because it's about a girl who lives with her Uncle Willie, Jimmy Gleason, who has always said, honey, I swear if I die and come back, I'll come back as a horse. So when I find a horse with all Uncle Willie's characteristics, I think it's surely Uncle Willie come back to win the Derby, at which he does. And he's a windsucker, so he just crosses the line and that's it, it's gone. And then it was Mighty Joe Young, and then the great Rupert, and Rupert was a squirrel. And in my backyard, there is a stone wall, and every day a little squirrel runs along it, and I've named him Rupert. Well, one week he wasn't there, and I just worried myself sick. And I put some nuts out there, I looked back, and there were 4 squirrels out there. But eventually, my Rupert came back, so I've got my Rupert there, who runs along my stone wall every day.
And it was very neat the way that was done because it was a combination of both a real squirrel and then you had, and it was so seamless the way that was blended, as you'd see it.
Yes, yes.
And Dan Weber, as we were walking back here, he mentioned at one point somebody had said something and you said, oh, I knew Elvis Presley very well.
Yes.
So, and I was, I mean, your pictures with Burt Lancaster, Marilyn Monroe, Glenn Ford, of course.
Jimmy Dean.
James Dean. Stories that you know, or anything you'd like to share about them. And then we're going to get some audience questions.
Right. Well, one of the top columnists in Hollywood was a man named Harrison Carroll, and he always wrote nice things about everybody. And the only 2 people who showed up at his memorial were Duke, John Wayne, and myself. And he came dressed in his Hondo costume, and which is so Western and sweated outfit, hat, and everything. And I came with a boyfriend who had hired a limousine. And when we were leaving, Duke motioned for us to roll the window down. And he said, "Where are you going?" And I said, "We're just going home." And he said, "Can I come over? I'm going to come over and have a drink." And I said, "Well, I don't drink and we don't have any alcohol in the house." He said, "Don't worry, I'll pick up some scotch." So pretty soon the doorbell rings and there's Duke with his bottle of scotch in both hands. And I said, "Come on in." But I said, "You can't stay long because we have to go to a dinner party, and it's a sit-down dinner, and I don't dare take anybody else, and you have to be dressed for it." And he said, "Don't worry, I'm coming along." I thought, oh dear, what am I going to do? I mean, and so anyway, he jumps in the car with us, and we go to the flats of Beverly Hills to Phil Feldman's home, and Mrs. Feldman opens the door, and I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't get rid of him." And she says, "Oh my God, John Wayne, come in!" And I mean, it was the best party she ever had. They still talk about it.
So how about, would some folks like to ask some questions for Ms. Terry Moore? Okay, we'll start with this gentleman here.
You said you knew Jimmy Dean?
Yes, I saw a lot of Jimmy, and I went with him to the premiere of East of Eden, and he rented a tuxedo, and I got lots of pictures outside if you want any with him. And that was the first and only time he ever wore a tuxedo.
What was he like as a date? Was he fun?
Yes, he was. And he was such a good actor. I adored him. And he was a member of the Actors Studio like I am, so he had a lot to talk about.
More questions? Yes, this gentleman.
And who was the last? Adam West. I'll start with Adam. Adam was such a good friend. I did the only 3-part Batman, which they put together and released as a movie. And I was going through a divorce, and his wisdom and everything was so helpful to me. I'll never forget him. So it was very especially sad for me when he just passed. I loved Adam. And the other, oh, Jimmy Durante. That was so much fun. He was always playing the piano in between scenes, singing, and he'd have his old cronies over, and they were always having fun, and it was exciting being with Jimmy. And I'm so happy that I got to work with him. And who else? Over, yes. And I'm living next, where I live in Santa Monica Beach. I'm living next door to where Harvey lived. And I was such a little girl when I worked with them, but they're always so nice to me. Bob Hope and all of them, Red Skelton, they always treated me like a little girl. And I just adored all of them.
Now, at some point, you got your pilot's license.
Yes, I did. And I was taught by Howard Hughes, who I later married, and I was the third woman in the world to check out on jets, and I jumped with the 82nd Airborne.
All right, more questions? For Terry Moore? Okay, gentlemen in the hat back there.
Terry, you worked on a Lassie film, I believe, before you did My So Young. How was it to work on the set of that film with weatherwacks and all your film castings?
The Lassie film.
Oh,
What was it, the Lassie film, or you did My So Young, I believe it was a few years before. I forget the exact title of the film. It's shown on Turner Classic Movies. How was it to work on the set of that film?
Yeah, what was your experience on that?
Elizabeth Taylor did Lassie Come Home, and I did Son of Lassie, and Lassie was actually Laddie, a boy. And, and as I said, I was always working with animals. And that was so much fun, because we made it in Wyoming, and with other kids my age, and I became friends with the producer's daughter, and they used to invite me over to their home in Beverly Hills all the time as a child, and we played together. And that was a lot of fun. That was my first location.
The gentleman, of course, as we all know, Turner Classic Movies with so many wonderful films. Is there ever a time where you're flipping through the channels? Billy Gray was one of our guests a few years ago, and he said he was flipping through the channels, and he said, "Oh, there's a Humphrey Bogart movie." And then he said he saw this young boy in the movie, and he said, "Oh, wait a minute, that's me." And so, do you ever flip across some of these and go, just like, I mean, not that you had forgotten that film, but like, oh, just stop and just kind of soak it in and kind of relive that time?
Yes, I do. That happened recently with Peyton Place. I co-starred with Lana Turner. And on that movie, Johnny Stoppanato was standing behind the camera whenever she was working. And he knew he was later murdered. Yeah. And, but Lana was a sweetheart to work with. And I've been such a Lana Turner fan, so it was a lot of fun.
And when you made Money So Young, when they had special effects sequences, when you were with Money So Young, did the director just tell you what to do and what you were seeing, or did the special effects technician like Willis O'Brien or Ray Harrelson come and help you to know what you were looking at and what you were reacting to?
Well, the director did, and very interesting. Oh, that director, he became my friend forever. He had directed, had been the cameraman, when the cameraman used to be the director because they'd hold the camera and direct it. And he had done King Kong, Chang-Chi, Four Feathers, and Now Mighty Joe Young. But he had lost his eyes in World War II, so he directed that film blind.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I so believe what I'm doing that I really believe Mighty Joe Young was there. And one of the questions everybody asked me was, do I play the piano? I don't, but I did play Beautiful Dreamer. I learned to play it for the movie. Yeah. And I became very good friends with Primo Canero, who had been the heavyweight champion of the world, and then a wrestler, and Man Mountain Dean and the Swedish Angel. And they used to take me to wrestling matches with him. Can you imagine the four of us coming in?
More questions for Terry Moore? Okay. Yes.
On Mighty Joe Young, did you have any experiences or stories about working with Marilyn Monroe and director Schoensack?
Oh, yes. I mean, they had done all these pictures together that I just mentioned, and Marion C. Cooper had been was a general. And so he was so funny because sometimes he'd stamp on his hat when things weren't going right. He'd throw his hat on the floor and jump up and down on it. And he said, I don't want these $250 a day extras. So they got extras and same ones and paid him $500, and then he was happy. He was a great man. And my Maggie here, and she's got me going to it too, we go to his daughter, Marion C. Cooper's daughter, who's the top pulmonary doctor at Cedars in Los Angeles.
You also mentioned Mr. Schoensack, right? Yes.
Oh, Mr. Schoensack is the one who directed the movie Blind. And his wife wrote the movie, Rose. And when it was over, for the rest of my life until he died, he'd have me over for lunch. She would cook lunch, and we'd go into the living room, and he would play classical music and taught me music appreciation. So I stayed friends with him forever. And there's hardly a day goes by that I don't think about him. He was about 6'5", and he fought with Lawrence of Arabia. And they were really adventuresome men, these men. And they had all been friends forever. So it was great doing that and working with Ben. One day I said to Ben, how did you get in pictures? Because this was his first movie. And he said, you remember that there movie, The Outlaw? I said, yes, thinking that he'd say one of the starring roles. He said, I brought the horses out for that there picture. Yeah, and Ben was the champion calf roper of the world. He was a real cowboy.
Wow. Okay, the gentleman with the question.
Yes.
Any recollections about Willis O'Brien you could tell? And did you go to the Academy Awards the year you were nominated?
Yes, I went to the Academy Awards with Robert Wagner, who I later starred in the first CinemaScope movie with him called Beneath the 12-Mile Reef, and then the third CinemaScope movie, which was called Between Heaven and Hell. And I remember Willis O'Brien very well because he was on the set all the time. And so was Ray Harryhausen, yes, both of them.
Did they introduce you to the Mighty Joe Young of the Effects Club?
No, but Monty Schoensack, his nickname was Monty, did later, and he had promised me to give it to me. And his wife died first, and the maid stole it, so I never got it, because he was blind. So sad, because I would have loved to have had it. But I believed in him so much, after working with a horse that I believed was my uncle, it was easy to believe that Mighty Joe Young was really there. Yes. Marilyn and I were under contract to Columbia together, and Harry Cohen decided that we weren't going anywhere, and he dropped both of our contracts on the very same day, and we both signed at 20th Century Fox on the same day, and we did our singing lessons, our dancing lessons, and we did scenes together every day. And often I would take her home for dinner, and my parents loved her. They just felt of her as another daughter. She was so sweet, but very lost. She'd had a terrible life. So many foster homes, and she just wanted love and needed it so badly.
As far as Elvis Presley, how did that connection? Was it just we're not in the movies with him, but
No. I was offered Love Me Tender, and I didn't finish the movie Bernadine opposite Pat Boone in time. But Cary Grant, who's a close friend, asked my mother what she wanted for her birthday, and she said Elvis Presley. So Cary Grant, with his friend, whose friend had an airplane, and they were on their way to Europe. They flew us to Las Vegas, and they said, we'll pick you up in a week, and we've arranged for you to sit front row center for every show. You'll stay in Elvis's dressing room between the shows, and every night he sang Are You Lonesome Tonight to my mother, which was her favorite song, put a scarf around her neck and kissed her. Yeah, I mean, nobody was like Elvis. Oh, he was so precious. I loved him so much.
okay. More questions? Yes.
Recollections of Howard Hughes. When the film The Aviator came out, and Leonardo DiCaprio as Howard Hughes, you were on the supplements, Terry. You were in some kind of panel discussion about the disorder called OCD that Howard did have. Can you expound on that experience, on seeing The Aviator and attending that conference on OCD?
Well, I worked with Leonardo DiCaprio on the movie, and the director, and Leo, who I just adore, I've stayed friends with him ever since. He was much too young to play Howard at the time, but he's such a good actor, and they didn't have an ending, and because Howard lived at least 20 years after they ended the movie. He hadn't bought RKO yet, he hadn't met me yet, and I begged them, don't do what you're doing to him, it's just not true. Because the truth was, Howard had 3 airplane crashes. After the last one, his heart was pushed to one side, he broke nearly every bone in his body, and he had to have medication as long as he lived. And as long as it was regulated, he would not become an addict. Well, those around him discovered that. They made him into an addict and control the drugs and you control the man. And that's what happened. That is the true story.
Any stars that you ever came close to working with and it just didn't come to pass, but it was something that was intended but it just never happened?
You know, it's funny you're asking that because every time I saw a star and thought, oh boy, would I love to work opposite him. It happened. It happened. I would work with him every time. And I think the delight of my life was working opposite Tyrone Power. And that was no disappointment. He's still the kindest man I've ever known. My mother said to him one day, Ty, you're as beautiful on the inside as you are the outside. And something that most people don't know, he was a Marine in the Air Force, and he shot down more German planes than any other pilot in the Marines in World War II.
Scott, I don't know if I'm repeating somebody else's question. I'm having a little trouble hearing a little bit. But I was just wondering, did anybody ask any personal remembrances of Robert Armstrong, what he was like off camera?
Oh, he was very much the way he was on camera. And he was such good friends because he'd done the first King Kong with General Marion C. Cooper and Ernest Shostak. And so everybody was friends, loved each other. It was a fun movie. It wasn't like making a movie. It was just a lot of friends getting together every day.
We have time for one more question. Okay.
I thought you were great in Come Back Little Sheba. Do you have any stories about that?
Oh, thank you. I was so fortunate. I got an Academy Award for that. And I loved working with Bert especially. He was so kind to me. And we had a very hard director. And he started taking his frustrations out first on Richard Jekyll, and he started crying. And so he knew he couldn't do that and spoil the scene, so then he took after me. And Bert took me aside one day. He was, as I say, so kind. He said, "Look, I'm too big a star for him to go after. I'm the star that's selling this movie. Shirley Booth did it for years on Broadway with him, so don't let it bother you. I'm here for you." And as it turned out, his son just came to me and wants me to do a picture with him. The director's son on Come Back to Little Sheba. It's very interesting how the world goes on. Full circle.
Well, I think we're, of course, a big hand for Terry Moore.
I want to mention that, Terry, we have a special guest that wanted to meet you. It's Mighty Joe had a son, apparently, and he had something. He's coming right up here. I think he has something for you. Mighty Joe Jr. Thank
The person go to see the gorillas in Missouri.
Thank you, Terry Moore from Monster Bus. Thank you so much.
I want to thank all of you for coming. Thank you.
Okay, coming up, we're going to have the Blob in just a few moments. Also, I wanted to make a correction of something I announced earlier.